Tansin Adute Mak Tiar Wheatley Nisigasun Opasquiac Uche. Welcome to APTN National News for this Thursday, November 20th. The longtime chief of a First Nation in Northern Ontario has been charged with sexual assault. Wilfred King was charged by the Thunder Bay Police Service, or TBPS, for an offense alleged to have occurred in 1992. The news comes just days after King was re-elected as chief of Gull Bay First Nation. In a statement to APTN News, a lawyer representing King wrote, "The timing of these allegations is clearly suspicious. While allegedly historical in nature, they only surfaced during a contested election, one which Chief King was favored to win. We will vigorously fight these accusations, and we look forward to the truth being revealed through the court process." The charges have not been tested in court. You can find more on the story on our website. The Winnipeg police made a major announcement on Wednesday regarding an arrest of a 35-year-old male involved in 22 arsons, break-and-enter, and damage-related offences across the city of Winnipeg over the past 4 months. Two of those buildings APTN previously reported on this past summer. Manitoba Minister of Families, Accessibility and Gender Equity Nahani Fontaine's constituency office, as well as her colleague Bernadette Smith's constituency office. Smith is the Minister of Housing, Addictions and Homelessness. Another target was the Provincial Treatment Centre, while the others were well-known restaurants and bars within Winnipeg's core. Jesse Robert Sean Wheatland has been charged with arson with disregard for human life, arson causing damage to property times 13, mischief under 5,000, obstruct and enjoyment times 4, break and enter and commit arson place times 2, break and enter with intent place times 2. Wheatland was detained in custody. All charges have yet to be proven in court. Over a year ago, a young woman from Chiging First Nation on Manitoulin Island disappeared. The United Chiefs and Councils of Manitoulin and Anishinaabe Police Service and the Ontario Provincial Police have now launched an awareness campaign to highlight the ongoing investigation. 30-year-old Juanita Miguans was last seen in the community on October 4th, 2024. Her family has not given up hope and continues to look for answers. The police are looking for fresh leads into her disappearance. Miguan's family has been upfront about her battles with addiction and previously told APTN they believe drug dealers are possibly involved in the disappearance. A reward of $100,000 is being offered to anyone who can provide the UCCM Anishinaabe Police Service or the OPP with information that helps bring Juanita home. Nunavut has a new territorial leadership, and as Justin Hardy tells us, last night the majority of the 21 MLAs on October 27th chose Arviat North Representative John Main to lead their new government.
I'm very thankful. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Premier-elect John Main is representing Arviat North for the third time and was Nunavut's health minister in the last government. He will be the first non-Inuk premier of the territory after winning the seat via secret ballot against Iqaluit Niakungu MLA David Akiagak, uncle of outgoing premier PJ Akiagak. Nunavut is a consensus government. There are no parties. The premier and the cabinet are chosen by the elected MLAs who all ran independently. After securing the premier's seat, Main says he will work collaboratively with the rest of the House to find the top priorities of this government.
As a legislature, as a government, we have to develop our priorities together through developing our mandate. There's no shortage of issues that need addressing in terms of which ones are going to be at the top of the list. That's a group exercise that we will be going through. South Baffin MLA David Jonassy also secured an executive seat as Speaker. Jonassy says that he plans to use his 12 years of experience to balance the Legislative Assembly.
We'll have to work together as a team, and I'm going to be supporting their endeavors in the House, as well as every member has a constituency office that we'll have to get them sorted and set up to have their best foot forward in their constituents and having a good impact for Nunavut as a whole.
With the Speaker and the Premier chosen, the Assembly turned to the matter of cabinet. 9 MLAs were nominated, but only 8 managed to get enough votes to secure a seat. Among them was David Akiagok, who earlier in the night lost his bid for the premier seat.
I am very, very proud and congratulate Mr. John Main. We have worked quite hard over the years as colleagues in the House and outside of the House. And I would like to work very closely with the cabinet-elect members.
Also chosen for cabinet are Annie Tatwini, Brian Kunu, Cecile Nelvane-Lyle, Craig Semelik, George Hicks, Gwen Healy-Akirok, and Janet Brewster. Premier-elect Main will appoint the 8 new cabinet members to their portfolios in the coming days. All of them will be sworn in on Thursday. Justin Hardy, APTN National News, Iqaluit.
A remediation company is tackling the cleanup for a long-standing contaminated mine in central Yukon, and according to it, good progress is being made. Most recently, its focus has been on demolishing an old mill structure at the site. But as Sarah Connors tells us, the First Nation whose traditional territory the mine sits on has concerns about the cleanup job. Here's that story.
This mill at the former Mount Nansen mine near the Yukon community of Carmacks is being demolished. The demolition is being led by the Mount Nansen Remediation Limited Partnership, or MNRLP.
The buildings were falling down, and so there was definitely a hazard there.
The former gold and silver mine sits on the Little Salmon Carmacks First Nations traditional territory and a culturally important area for harvesting animals and plants. The mine was abandoned in 1999, left contaminated, and is now under the responsibility of the federal government.
We've removed, I think it's almost 10 truckloads of maybe chemically affected water and waste.
The idea is there. They want to clean it. But how they do it, First Nations don't agree with it.
But Chief Russell Blackjack feels there's lingering concerns about the cleanup. He says the mine's tailings pond is not fenced off, and animals like bison have died drinking contaminated water. He also believes the mill should have been torn down when MNRLP's work began 4 years ago.
We want to support them, but we want it done right. We want it clean, proper, and including the tailings pond, because that is one thing that's going to be there for the rest of our lives.
Harrington understands the First Nations' concerns. He says a fence for the tailings pond is in the works, but was delayed due to issues finding a contractor. While he agrees the mill should have been demolished sooner, he says MNRLP has to follow proper procedures.
We're trying to get on with it as fast as we can, but also still follow all the appropriate, third-party review steps that have to be done for these kind of projects.
The First Nations' concerns about the cleanup aren't new. In 2023, it asked the Yukon Water Board for a public hearing and changes to MNRLP's water license, arguing the work wasn't good enough. Harrington says early progress was slow and COVID limited MNRLP's interaction with the First Nation, but he believes things are improving as the company better understands the site.
I'm not saying everything we've done is perfect, but certainly our intent and our hearts are to make sure that the community understands what we're doing and we hear the input.
Despite Blackjack's concerns, he's glad the mill is finally coming down.
They're unwilling to work with us, Whether they do what we want is another story.
Harrington says MNRLP is working with the Little Salmon Carmacks First Nation and the federal government on a modified water license, which the Yukon Water Board is currently reviewing. Sarah Connors, APTN National News, Whitehorse.
Kinanaskimit and Sarah, we want to hear what you think about our stories here online. Here's how you can reach us. If you have a story you want to share, send us an email to news@aptn.ca. To read and watch our stories, go to aptnnews.ca. You can also find us online on your favorite social media sites, including TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and X. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. And we give you a sneak peek into what my colleagues over at Nation to Nation have going on for tonight. when we come back. Cheskwa. Come on in, beat the gwe. Here is proof that animals appear to be getting smarter. We now have evidence of wolves in British Columbia pulling crab traps out of the sea to eat the bait inside. CTV's St. John Alexander reports.
That's not a dog playing fetch, but a wolf with a buoy in its mouth. She wasn't trained to do this, but somehow knew her effort would pay off.
We always have known that, how smart and how intelligent, wolves are.
The images were captured by researchers who've been trying to learn even more about the animals, in particular in the Heiltsuk Nation. They were also trying to solve a mystery, why so many crab traps were being damaged. So they set up cameras and audio recorders.
And we thought, maybe we'd see a seal going by or we'd see a mink going by and we might get a bit of a hint as to what's doing this.
There were clues. Buoys were munched up like chew toys. But it couldn't be a bear, couldn't be a wolf, because the traps were set way out in deep water. Yet the eye of the camera told a different story.
Wow, I guess. We weren't anticipating seeing this.
After getting out of the water, a quick shake to dry off, somehow the wolf knew to reach down, get hold of the line, and reel in the trap. She also knew all of it had to come in, because the goodies, that's the bait, were in the orange cup.
It's not surprising that they're able to figure something like this out. Like, they are just so intelligent. They are so much like us. There's a lot of familiarity there.
So far, researchers don't believe the wolf was after some crab and was quite satisfied by the snack in the bait cup. However, she may surprise them yet. St. John Alexander, CTV News, Vancouver.
And here's Fraser Needham now to tell us about what's ahead tonight on Nation to Nation.
Coming up after the evening news, the Carney government got its first budget passed this week with the help of opposition parties. Laurie Idloat is one of two NDP MPs who abstained from the vote, and she's here to tell us why. Plans to build the proposed Prince Rupert gas transmission line in British Columbia have been revived. Drew Harris of Lac Yep Firekeepers joins us to talk about why the organization is opposed. And the budget revealed there is $2.8 billion of unspent money for Indigenous off-reserve housing projects. John Gordon of National Indigenous Collaborative Housing, Inc. is here to tell us how this money might be spent. That's all later on Nation to Nation.
Tapwegi Fraser. We now want to tell you about this week's web poll questions. Over on our website, we ask, should someone convicted of multiple homicides of Indigenous people have to serve consecutive life sentences rather than concurrent? Yes, they should serve sentences one after another, or no, they should serve sentences at the same time, or the other option is unsure. You can go to our website, aptnnews.ca/poll to cast your ballot. To Vancouver now, where APTN video journalist Tina House joins us to give a preview of this year's Vancouver Indigenous Fashion Week.
Thank you. We're here outside of the Queen Elizabeth Theatre, where since 2017, Vancouver Indigenous Fashion Week has rocked this runway here in this building behind me. Joining me today is Caroline Phelps, the General Manager. Caroline, nice to see you.
Thank you for having me today.
What can we expect over the next 4 days as VIFW rocks Vancouver?
You can expect to see 23 designers on the runway. You can expect to see 43 vendors in our makers market today, and over 100 Indigenous models taking that runway and bringing those fabric to life for each one of our designers today.
Incredible. Tonight we're opening with Red Dress Night. What's the significance for that for this event?
We always want to bring that awareness towards the MMIW and the MMIR movement. We have two people that are here that will take the stage, Lorelei and Charmaine. Charmaine is based out of Alberta, and you'll be able to learn more about the movement that they have been doing.
Incredible. Looking forward to the next 4 days. Thanks so much for joining us. The excitement is certainly building here in the city of Vancouver. We'll have more for you coming up on this story tomorrow on APTN National News.
And we have one deadly auntie from the Pimichikamak Cree Nation in studio after the break. She's here to promote the Cree language. Cheskwa. Tuau, welcome back. Starting on the East Coast, St. John 7, Charlottetown 4. Kuujjuaq 1, Nain 3 degrees. Chibougamau -2, Quebec City 0. Sault Ste. Marie 5, Toronto also 5. Big Trout Lake 0, Kapuskasing 2 degrees. Over to Churchill -5, God's Lake -2. Barons River 0, Brandon -1. North Battleford -9, Yorkton and Regina both -1. Uranium City -10, La Ronge -7. Moving west, Fort Chipewyan is at 4 degrees, Peace River also 4. Edmonton 5, Red Deer 5, as well as Calgary is 7 degrees. Quesnel 6, Kamloops 8. Peace Lake -3, Smithers 4 degrees. Up north, Old Crow -14, Mayo -5. Norman Wells -11, Fort Simpson 3 degrees. Taktoyaktuk -8, Deline -7. Cambridge Bay -13, Chesterfield -9. Arctic Bay -16, Iqaluit -7. We told you about a migrating bird exhibit on our noon show yesterday. It's currently in the Pas, Manitoba, adjacent to the Opaskwayak Cree Nation, my hometown, 6 hours north of Winnipeg. The photos are from the first Canadian female astronaut, Roberta Bondar. She's an advocate for threatened bird populations along with the environments that sustain them. The photos are taken from space, sky, and land, and across Canada. What's unique to the exhibit is that the descriptions are translated and voiced into 3 languages spoken in northern Manitoba: Cree, aka Inimuin, Dene, and Anishinaabe, sometimes referred to as Ojibwe. Star Birdie helped with the Inimuin translation. She hails from the Pipichikamak Cree Nation. Star, thank you for joining us. First, can you tell me a little bit about what you learned from the Patterns and Parallels project that advocates for threatened bird populations?
Well, we looked at 3 bird species. There was the lesser flamingo, Wasi pitsan, the piping plover, Wasi piswan, and the whooping crane, Otsitsak. So we kind of learned about their feeding, breeding patterns, where they migrate, and a little bit more about like how they've become endangered and some have become repopulated, and how we can basically save these birds from becoming extinct. So it was really fun and interesting project to work on.
You know, in our Cree language, Inimuin, some of the birds didn't exist here. Translation must have got interesting for you.
Yeah, it did. So like one of those were like the lesser flamingo, which we don't have flamingos here. But upon doing a quick Google search with my mother, because my mom had to think about it as well, we came across the word Wasi pitsan. And wasi, that there's a root word in there, it means shine or bright, right? So definitely interesting, and you need to be creative, but also not too silly, such as the hippo.
Yeah, that's another one that maybe we'll have time for later. But, you know, speaking of translation, you also mentioned to me earlier that translating Cree has some extra steps. Can you explain that for our viewers?
So the extra steps, so sometimes when I'm given like some work to translate, I never do it alone. I have to consult with some knowledge keepers or elders, and my mom is 65, and she's my first teacher, and as well as my stepdad, but I go to them, and then we sit down and we discuss like basically what are the right words that need to be translated, and so that not only do the like the English listeners or viewers get to see the language, but also the more fluent people, so that they understand what's being translated. So yeah, like there's a lot of steps to it, a lot of discussion, and sometimes those discussions can take hours.
Well, because you're learning as you're going, right? So maybe you want to just tell us how you got involved in this project.
So I was asked by University College of the North if I can do this translation for this specific project about the bird species. But before that, I was a language consultant in Thompson, and then I did some networking and came across people who came up to me and asked if I would like to be a part of a language safety campaign.
And tell me a little bit about that campaign and what you learned from that.
So the campaign is called Speak Indigenous, and it's a language safety campaign. There's a couple of us that are, well, we're all members and we come from all across Manitoba, and basically our mandate or goal is to ensure that Indigenous languages are kept alive, but also done in a way that's safe for learners, as well as the more fluent speakers, just coming together and learning from each other and doing it in a way that everyone feels safe and heard.
Speaking of that safety, do you have any advice or encouraging words for those who are either relearning an Indigenous language or even being introduced to it for a first time?
Some advice would be don't be too hard on yourself. Don't be afraid to ask questions, because I almost lost my language at one point, but I knew that in my heart I wanted it and I didn't want to lose it, and it was important to me. So if it's important to you, you're going to persevere, and it's going to be worth it, because then you're going to be able to connect with your family, your grandparents if they're still alive, elders, everybody. It's such a beautiful language, and there's teachings in there, and they're going to guide you for the rest of your life. So don't give up.
Even I feel inspired because I'm trying to take back my language as well. But I just want to thank you for your time today, Starkin, and Askamatin.
I would say thank you.
And we share some sad news with you about a member of the Indigenous arts community who passed away. Ian Ross passed away earlier this week in Winnipeg at the age of 57 years old. Ian Ross was Métis and Ojibwe, born in McCreary, Manitoba in 1968. Ross earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in Film and Theatre from the University of Manitoba in 1992. The Manitoba Association of Playwrights credits him with writing 17 plays. Ross's dark comedy Farewell, about what happens when the welfare checks stop coming, won him the Governor General's Award for English Drama in 1997. Considered one of the first portrayals of life of an Indian reserve, it was reenacted this year with most of the original cast. Our condolences to Ian's family, friends, and community, including one of our own news family, Julia Ross, Ian's daughter. Tobacco up and prayers down for Ian, also known as Joe from Winnipeg. And that's your APTN National News for this Thursday afternoon. I'm TR Wheatley. It's been a pleasure to be here with you. I'll be back behind the desk again at 6 p.m. Eastern as Dennis is busy behind the scenes. Until then, from all of us at APTN to all of you, Egasi, Gitam, Kikawapamitinanaw.